When Alex and his wife, Sarah, first saw the neighborhood, it looked like something out of a magazine. Every house had freshly painted doors, perfectly trimmed lawns, and even the mailboxes seemed to be standing at attention. The couple had been searching for months for a place to call their own, and finally, they thought they had found it. "This place is perfect," Sarah said, smiling as she held Alex's hand. "I can already see us having barbecues on the weekends." Alex nodded. "Yeah, it looks quiet, maybe too quiet." Sarah laughed. "Too quiet? You always worry about everything. Relax, it's just a neighborhood." But Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. There was a strange tension in the air, almost like the houses themselves were watching them. He shook it off, telling himself it was just nerves from moving. The first week went smoothly. They unpacked boxes, set up furniture, and planted flowers in their small backyard. The neighbors smiled politely as they passed by, waving hello but never stopping for long. It all seemed normal, until the letters arrived. At first, it was small things. A note slipped under the door saying the mailbox post was leaning slightly. Then another complaining that their flowers were too colorful and didn't match the neighborhood theme. Alex thought it was ridiculous, but Sarah took it in stride. "Maybe they're just passionate about rules," she said one evening as she sipped her tea. "I mean, some people care about this stuff." Alex wasn't convinced. "It's like they're watching us. And I don't mean just noticing, we're talking full-on monitoring." Then came the first official letter from the HOA. It was the kind of letter you see in movies, formal, cold, and full of warnings. They were being cited for non-compliance with the neighborhood aesthetic. Specifically, their new welcome mat was too bright, and the garden gnome Alex had placed near the porch was unauthorized. Sarah laughed. "A gnome? Seriously? I thought it was cute." Alex frowned. "Cute or not, they're serious. Look at this. They even threatened a fine if we don't fix it within 7 days." They spent the next few days carefully adjusting their front yard. The gnome went inside, flowers were rearranged, and the welcome mat was swapped for something plain. For a while, things seemed to settle. But the uneasy feeling lingered. Every time they stepped outside, Alex felt eyes on them. Their neighbors seemed too polite, almost rehearsed. And the HOA, well, they were everywhere. Notices were posted on community boards, letters slid under doors, and occasional emails reminded residents to follow all regulations, big or small. Then one afternoon, Alex noticed a small group of HOA members walking down the street. They stopped in front of his house, whispering and pointing. Alex's stomach sank. He waved politely, but they barely acknowledged him. Sarah tried to calm him. "You're imagining things," she said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe they're talking about the weather or something." Alex wanted to believe her. He really did. But the unease in his chest only grew. He couldn't shake the feeling that the neighborhood wasn't just about rules, it was about control. The next morning, Alex found a bright yellow notice attached to their front door. It was from the HOA. His hands trembled slightly as he read it. "Dear residents, we have received multiple complaints regarding your property. Please correct the following issues immediately. The angle of your front fence. The type of mulch used in your garden. Unauthorized decoration in your yard. Failure to comply may result in further action, including fines or legal measures." Alex looked at Sarah. "They're serious. This isn't a joke anymore." Sarah frowned. "I know, but we can't let them stress us out. Let's just fix it and move on." Still, something about the letter felt different. The words were sharp, almost personal. Alex had dealt with difficult landlords before, but this was something else. It felt like a battle they hadn't even entered yet. Over the next few days, Alex noticed more odd behavior. A neighbor would stand on their porch for no reason, pretending to read a magazine but clearly watching them. A lawn service truck drove slowly past their house multiple times a day. And occasionally, at night, there was the faint sound of someone walking near their driveway, though when Alex looked outside, no one was there. Sarah tried to laugh it off. It's a new neighborhood, Alex. People are curious. Maybe it's nothing. But Alex couldn't ignore the signs. The tension was growing, and he could feel it like a storm brewing just above their heads. Something big was coming, and neither of them knew what it would be. Then came the day that made Alex's stomach twist into knots. He had just returned from work when he saw two cars parked across the street. Both had flashing lights in the front. His heart stopped. "Sarah, do you see that?" he whispered. Sarah looked out the window and froze. "Is that police?" Alex swallowed hard. Why would the police? The answer was unknown, but one thing was clear: the peaceful neighborhood they had dreamed about was gone. The letters, the whispers, the strange looks, they were all leading to this moment. And Alex knew, deep down, that whatever was about to happen, it would change their lives forever. As the couple stood at the window, watching the flashing lights approach, Alex whispered to himself, "We had no idea this would escalate, and we weren't ready for what came next." The calm, perfect neighborhood had vanished, replaced by a tense and unpredictable world. And Alex couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to turn upside down in a way they could never have imagined. The morning sunlight spilled across the neatly trimmed lawns, but Alex didn't notice. He was staring out the window at the empty street, waiting. The flashing lights from yesterday's visit still lingered in his mind like a warning. Sarah, sitting at the kitchen table, sipped her coffee quietly, her uniform neatly folded on the chair beside her. Alex's stomach twisted. "I can't believe they actually called the cops over a mailbox." Sarah smiled faintly, but there was a tension in her eyes. "It's not just a mailbox. It's how they prove they can control everything. One small thing, then the next, then, who knows?" Alex ran a hand through his hair. "I thought we were moving into a quiet neighborhood. Not a battlefield." Before Sarah could answer, the doorbell rang. Alex froze. He wasn't expecting anyone. Sarah got up, walking carefully to the door. Peeking through the peephole, she saw three figures standing in crisp clothes: HOA members, clipboards in hand, looking serious. Alex groaned. "Oh, no. Not again." Sarah opened the door. "Can I help you?" The tallest HOA member cleared his throat. "We received reports that your backyard lights were on past the permitted hours. We need to inspect your property immediately." Alex stepped forward. "Inspect? It's just lights." The HOA member's gaze was cold, unwavering. "Rules are rules, sir. Compliance is mandatory." Sarah sighed, glancing at Alex. She didn't need to say it, the tension in the air was already rising. As they walked through the backyard, Alex felt every step like a test. Every flower, every decorative rock seemed to be under scrutiny. He caught a neighbor watching from across the street, peeking from behind a tree. It was unsettling. The HOA members whispered among themselves. Alex couldn't make out the words, but their tone was sharp, almost aggressive. "You see?" Sarah said under her breath. "It's not about lights. It's about showing they have power." Alex's hands clenched into fists. "It feels like they're looking for reasons to punish us." The HOA leader finally turned to them. "We'll be submitting a formal report. Expect further notices soon." With that, they left, leaving Alex and Sarah in silence. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. Alex exhaled slowly, trying to calm himself. "I can't do this," he muttered. "Every day, they're finding something else. It's like we're trapped in their rules." Sarah walked over, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We just need to stay calm. Reacting angrily won't help." "But," she paused, a glint of determination in her eyes. "We also need a plan. If they push too far, we have to be ready." Alex looked at her, realizing something he hadn't before. Sarah wasn't just calm, she was prepared. For anything. That evening, Alex went outside to fix a crooked fence board. As he hammered the piece into place, he heard soft footsteps behind him. Turning quickly, he saw a neighbor, smiling, holding a cup of coffee. "Evening, Alex," the neighbor said, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. "Saw the HOA here earlier. They're very thorough, huh?" Alex nodded, unsure how to respond. The neighbor lingered for a moment, then smiled a little too widely. "Well, hope everything goes smoothly. You never know how strict they can get." When the neighbor left, Alex's unease doubled. Every friendly face now seemed suspicious. He went inside, shutting the door slowly, almost expecting the HOA to appear again. Over the next few days, tension built like a storm. Notices arrived in the mail for the smallest infractions, one for a slightly overgrown bush, another for a toy left on the driveway. Alex tried to ignore them, but each note made his heart race. One night, as Alex and Sarah were about to go to bed, a faint knock echoed through the house. Alex froze. Sarah, sensing his fear, went to the door. When she opened it, no one was there. Just a small, yellow note on the doorstep. Alex picked it up, reading it slowly. "We are watching compliance closely. Further violations will be reported immediately. HOA." Alex stared at the paper. His hands shook slightly. "They're really serious. This is getting out of hand." Sarah placed her hand on his arm. "I know. But we won't let them scare us. We have each other. And we're not powerless." As they sat in silence, the unease lingered. The couple realized that the neighborhood's charm was an illusion. The perfect lawns and quiet streets masked something darker, an obsession with control, a desire to dominate the lives of everyone who lived there. Alex's mind raced. The police visit yesterday, the HOA inspections, the threatening notes, it was all adding up. And he knew, without a doubt, that things were only going to escalate from here. Outside, the street remained quiet, almost too quiet. But Alex could feel it, the eyes watching, the whispers in the wind. The tension was building, and he knew that soon, the calm would break. And when it did, he had no idea what would happen next. The sharp knock on the door echoed through the quiet house, startling Alex. He froze mid-step, his hand hovering over the coffee mug he had been holding. This wasn't the usual HOA inspection or a small warning note. The knock was different, firm, official, and full of authority. "Sarah," he whispered, his voice tight. Sarah, standing by the window, peered through the blinds. Her face remained calm, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "It's them," she said softly, almost to herself. Alex swallowed hard. Outside, 2 uniformed police officers stood on the porch. Their badges glinted in the late afternoon sun. Behind them, 2 HOA board members hovered, arms crossed, faces tense and impatient. Alex's stomach churned. "They actually called the police," he muttered, more to himself than to Sarah. Sarah stepped forward. "Don't panic. Just stay calm." Alex wanted to argue, but he knew it would make things worse. He followed Sarah's lead as she opened the door. The officers gave polite but serious greetings. "Good afternoon," the taller officer said. "We received a complaint from the HOA regarding your property. We're here to investigate." Alex's jaw tightened. "Investigate what?" "It's just a mailbox and some lights." The officer gave a small nod but didn't respond. His eyes scanned the yard, lingering on every detail. The HOA members muttered among themselves, clearly eager to have their complaints confirmed. Sarah, however, was unusually calm. She stood beside Alex, arms crossed, her posture relaxed but commanding. The HOA members didn't notice the subtle tension in her presence, they didn't know she wasn't just a homeowner. "You might want to step inside," Sarah suggested, her voice steady. "It's easier to talk without standing on the porch." As they led the officers inside, Alex felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Relief because they were finally talking face to face, and dread because he had no idea how the HOA would react once they realized who Sarah really was. The officers began asking questions, noting minor infractions, writing them down. The HOA members nodded eagerly, confident that they were finally winning. But Sarah remained composed, listening carefully, answering politely but firmly. Then, she did something Alex hadn't expected. She reached up, adjusting the collar of her uniform shirt that had been folded neatly in the chair earlier. Slowly, deliberately, she let the officers and HOA members see her badge. The room went silent. Alex watched the HOA members' eyes widen. Their confident, smirking expressions faltered. For the first time, they looked unsure. Alex couldn't help but feel a small surge of relief. Finally, the power balance was shifting. Sarah's voice remained calm but authoritative. "I am a police officer," she said clearly. "I'm here off duty today, but my duties don't stop at the uniform. Threats or harassment through an HOA are still subject to the law. Please consider this when making complaints." The HOA members stammered. One of them tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. The officers exchanged a glance, their presence suddenly amplified by Sarah's revelation. Alex felt his heart pounding. He had never seen the HOA members so completely unprepared, so exposed. The tension in the room shifted from his side to theirs, and it was almost satisfying to watch. One of the HOA board members finally managed a weak, "We didn't know." Sarah gave a small, controlled nod. "I understand, but ignorance doesn't excuse harassment. I suggest you review your complaints carefully before involving authorities again." The officers nodded, finishing their notes and offering polite farewells. The HOA members left quickly, their confidence gone, replaced with awkward confusion and a hint of fear. As the door closed, Alex exhaled deeply. "Wow. I didn't know you were going to do that." Sarah smirked, the faintest hint of amusement in her eyes. "I didn't plan to, but sometimes people push too far. You have to remind them who's really in charge." Alex laughed nervously, the tension finally breaking. "Yeah. I guess we just won a small victory." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "Small, yes. But it's not over. They'll probably try something else eventually. The key is we're ready now." Alex nodded. The reality of the situation was sinking in. Living in this neighborhood wasn't going to be easy, but with Sarah by his side, they could handle whatever came next. Outside, the street returned to its quiet state, but Alex could still feel eyes watching. The HOA hadn't given up, they were just shaken. And that meant the real drama was only beginning. The house was quiet now, but the tension from earlier still hung in the air like a heavy fog. Alex was pacing the living room, muttering under his breath. "I can't believe that actually worked," he said, stopping mid-step. "They didn't even see it coming." Sarah leaned against the counter, sipping her coffee. "Of course they didn't," she said calmly. "They've never met anyone like me before. They think they can bully people, but then, reality hits." Alex ran a hand through his hair, shaking his head. Reality hit like a hammer. The couple sat down, trying to process the surreal events. Outside, the HOA members lingered in the street, whispering to each other, glancing nervously at the house. Alex could see their lips moving, but he couldn't hear what they were saying. Whatever it was clear, they were panicking. "Look at them," Sarah said quietly, pointing through the window. "They think they still have control. But they don't." Alex squinted. "Do you think they'll try something else?" Sarah shrugged. "Maybe. But now we know their weaknesses. They thrive on intimidation and fear." Once that's gone, she let the sentence hang in the air. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door again. Alex jumped. "Seriously? Already?" Sarah opened the door, peeking cautiously. To their surprise, it wasn't the HOA. It was one of their neighbors, Mr. Thompson, the polite older man from a few houses down. His hands were raised in a peaceful gesture. I just wanted to apologize," he said nervously. "I didn't realize how aggressive they could be. I think they've crossed a line this time." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Crossed a line? That's one way to put it." Mr. Thompson glanced behind him, as if checking that no one else was watching. You handled it very well. Especially your wife. I mean, wow. She didn't just stand up to them, she crushed them. Sarah smiled faintly. Thank you. But it's not about crushing anyone. It's about fairness. People need to understand the rules don't give them power over others' lives. Alex chuckled, shaking his head. I still can't believe it. The HOA actually left speechless. Mr. Thompson laughed nervously. They're not used to people who won't back down. Honestly, they've probably never met anyone like her before. The neighbor left, and the couple closed the door. Alex leaned against it, exhaling slowly. That was intense. Sarah looked at him with a faint grin. Intense is one word. But it's also a lesson. Some people only respect authority. Some people only learn from experience. Today, we gave them both. Alex laughed quietly, feeling the tension ease just slightly. I guess so. But the HOA isn't done, is it? Sarah shook her head. No. They'll probably try something petty next. Maybe another complaint, or a ridiculous rule. But now we know how to handle it. And honestly, part of me wants to see what they try next. Just a little. Alex blinked. You want them to come back? Sarah shrugged playfully. Not exactly. But it'll be interesting to watch them scramble. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt a strange mix of relief and amusement. The couple had turned the tables on the neighborhood bullies, and it was exhilarating. They weren't powerless anymore, they had the upper hand, and it was sweet. Outside, the HOA members regrouped, whispering frantically. Alex could see the frustration in their body language. The confident, intimidating figures from before now looked like nervous children caught in the act. Alex leaned back, a small smile forming. Well, that's a start. Sarah chuckled. Just a start. But the important part is we stayed calm, stayed smart, and never let them know they could scare us. That's the key. The couple shared a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They knew the neighborhood would never be the same. The perfect lawns and quiet streets had a new meaning now, one where Alex and Sarah were no longer just residents. They were players in a game that the HOA thought they controlled. And from now on, the rules had changed. It started early one Saturday morning. The sun was just peeking over the rooftops when Alex stepped outside, stretching and yawning. He thought it would be a normal weekend. He was wrong. Across the street, the HOA members were gathered again. Their faces were tense, their eyes sharp. They weren't just curious this time, they looked like a team planning an attack. Alex's stomach sank. Here we go again, he muttered. Sarah joined him, coffee in hand, her expression calm but alert. Looks like they've decided to escalate. Let's see what they've got this time. No one needed to tell Alex that the HOA was relentless. They started walking slowly down the street, inspecting every detail of the houses, whispering to each other. But this time, it wasn't just observation, they were actively taking notes, measuring fences, peering at mailboxes, and even examining flower beds. Alex rubbed his eyes. Seriously? Are they measuring the flowers now? Sarah smirked. Don't be surprised. That's exactly how they operate, they control everything, even the smallest details. By mid-morning, the HOA sent another notice, a long, intimidating letter pinned to their door. Alex tore it off, scanning quickly. Residents are reminded that all rules and regulations must be followed precisely. Any further violations will result in fines and potential legal action. HOA monitoring is ongoing. Alex groaned, tossing the letter onto the counter. They're insane. How can they even enforce all of this? Sarah laughed softly. They're not enforcing. They're trying to scare us. That's their game. But they forgot one thing. Alex raised an eyebrow. What's that? My husband and I don't scare easily, she said with a sly smile. Later that afternoon, the HOA tried a new tactic. They approached Alex while he was trimming the backyard bushes. Sir, the tallest member said, arms crossed, your fence slats are uneven. It violates Section 4, Paragraph 12 of the HOA guidelines. Alex looked at the fence, then back at the man. Are you serious? It's a millimeter off. Come on. The HOA member frowned. Rules are rules. You must fix it immediately. Before Alex could reply, Sarah appeared behind him, calm and confident. Excuse me, she said, voice steady. I'm the one in charge here. If there's a real issue, we can discuss it politely. Otherwise, this ends now. The HOA members froze, clearly remembering the badge from last week. The tension was palpable. Alex could see them exchanging uneasy glances. Sarah continued, I suggest you review your complaints carefully before wasting everyone's time or involving authorities unnecessarily. Otherwise, you're creating a problem for yourselves. The HOA members muttered but backed off, slowly retreating down the street. Alex exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. Once inside, Alex collapsed onto the couch. Every day, it's something new. I don't know how much longer I can deal with them. Sarah placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. You don't have to deal with them alone. That's the difference now. We're a team and we have the advantage. They're predictable, and we're not afraid to act smart. Alex smiled faintly. Predictable, huh? I guess that's true. They always think they're in control, but really, they're just overcomplicating things for themselves. Sarah chuckled. Exactly. And now, every time they try to intimidate us, they remind everyone else that pushing too far has consequences. They're learning, slowly. Later that evening, Alex glanced out the window. The HOA members had regrouped, whispering furiously, pointing at his house and muttering. He noticed the frustration etched on their faces, the confident facade of power now replaced with uncertainty. Looks like we won this round, Alex said quietly, turning to Sarah. She smiled. Yes, we did. But they'll keep trying. That's what makes this fun and challenging. It's a game of wits now, not rules. Alex shook his head, half laughing. A stressful game of wits. But with you, I think we can handle anything. Outside, the neighborhood returned to its quiet appearance, but Alex and Sarah knew better. The HOA may have escalated, but the real power now rested with them. And the couple was ready, smart, united, and unshakable. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the perfectly manicured lawns, but Alex didn't notice. He was crouched near the front porch, checking the last flower bed, feeling a strange mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Something was in the air, a sense that the HOA's next move would either explode into chaos or fizzle out completely. Sarah stepped beside him, arms crossed, her badge tucked inside her jacket. She didn't need to say anything. Alex knew she was ready for whatever came next. Across the street, the HOA members were gathered again, this time looking more tense than before. Their earlier bravado had vanished, replaced with whispered arguments and frustrated gestures. They were clearly planning, but the energy in the air felt different, like they were realizing the game was slipping out of their hands. Alex straightened up. Looks like it's showtime. Sarah smirked. Showtime for them, maybe. For us, it's just another Tuesday. Before Alex could respond, the HOA president marched toward them, clipboard in hand. His voice was sharper than usual, but there was a noticeable tremor underneath it. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, he began, trying to assert authority, we need to discuss. Sarah cut him off, calm but firm. Discuss what? That you've been harassing us over tiny things? That you keep filing complaints without cause? The HOA president blinked. Well, it's about maintaining neighborhood standards. Sarah let out a small, amused laugh. Neighborhood standards? Let me remind you, we followed the rules. Every complaint you filed? Unnecessary. Every letter? Overboard. And calling the police for a mailbox? Really? Alex felt a small surge of pride. He'd never seen the HOA members so exposed, so unsure. They were fumbling, realizing that their usual intimidation tactics didn't work with Sarah, especially when she could back them up with authority. "Look," Sarah continued, her voice steady, "we want to live peacefully in this neighborhood. But if you keep pushing these ridiculous complaints, you'll only embarrass yourselves further. And I assure you, any harassment is not just wrong, it's illegal." The HOA members shuffled their feet, muttering among themselves. One tried to argue, but Sarah raised a hand. The silent authority in her stance was enough. Alex could see their confidence crumbling. Finally, the HOA president sighed, his posture defeated. We didn't realize, we may have gone too far." Sarah nodded. "That's exactly what I'm saying. You can have rules, but respect boundaries. Learn them, follow them, and there won't be problems. Push past them, and you'll face consequences. The choice is yours." Alex couldn't help but smile. The tension that had been building for weeks was dissolving before his eyes. The HOA had finally realized that their power was limited and that they couldn't intimidate the couple anymore. "Agreed," one of the HOA members muttered, and the others nodded silently. Without another word, they retreated down the street, their whispers fading into the distance. Alex turned to Sarah, exhaling with relief. "That was incredible. I've never seen them like that." Sarah laughed softly. "Sometimes, people just need a reality check. And sometimes, you have to deliver it calmly, confidently, and with the right experience." Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "You make it look easy. I'm just glad it's over for now." Sarah smiled, linking her arm with his. "It's never truly over with neighbors like these. But at least now, we've set the rules. And they know who really holds the cards." As they walked inside, the street outside returned to its quiet, postcard-perfect state. The long shadow of tension had lifted, replaced by a sense of control and relief. For the first time since moving in, Alex felt that they could finally breathe and laugh without worrying about what the HOA would do next. And though the neighborhood still appeared calm on the surface, Alex and Sarah knew one thing: the power dynamic had changed forever. The HOA had learned their lesson, and the couple had emerged stronger, united, and unshakable. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, and the neighborhood finally looked normal. At least, normal for everyone else. Alex and Sarah sat on their porch, sipping iced tea, enjoying the quiet that had returned after weeks of tension. Alex leaned back in his chair, a small smile on his face. "You know, I never thought living in a quiet neighborhood would feel like being in a war zone." Sarah laughed, her eyes twinkling. "It's funny how some people see rules as power. The HOA thought they could control everything, but we proved them wrong." Alex shook his head. "I still can't believe you pulled out the badge. That was brilliant." Sarah smirked. "Sometimes, you just need the right tool for the job." The couple sat in silence for a few moments, watching as neighbors went about their evening routines. The lawns were still perfectly trimmed, the mailboxes stood straight, and yet, something had changed. The street that once felt suffocating now seemed lighter. Less tense. Alex chuckled. "Do you think the HOA will ever try anything again?" Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Oh, probably. But now, they know the game has changed. We're not just homeowners, we're a team that won't be intimidated. And honestly, it's kind of fun watching them squirm." Just then, Alex noticed movement across the street. Two HOA members peeked from behind a tree, whispering and pointing at their house. Alex laughed. "Looks like they're already plotting their next move." Sarah shook her head, laughing softly. "Let them. They'll keep thinking, but now they know the consequences. We don't have to worry unless we let them get to us." Alex smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. The perfect lawns and quiet streets had been a trap of sorts, a test of patience, nerves, and clever thinking. But they had passed, not by arguing or fighting, but by staying calm, confident, and united. Sarah placed her hand over Alex's. "Remember, it's not about rules or mailboxes or flowers. It's about standing your ground and handling challenges with your head and heart. That's what wins in the end." Alex nodded. And it's kind of satisfying watching them finally realize that, huh? Sarah laughed again, leaning back. Very satisfying. As the evening deepened and the lights of the neighborhood glowed softly, Alex realized something: living in this neighborhood would never be ordinary, and the HOA would always try something. But with Sarah by his side, he knew they could face anything and even turn every challenge into a small victory. And maybe, just maybe, the next HOA complaint would be worth watching. The couple shared a quiet smile, knowing that the real lesson wasn't about mailboxes or mulch or rules. It was about courage, teamwork, and never letting anyone intimidate you even when they think they hold all the power. The neighborhood might have seemed calm on the surface, but for Alex and Sarah, life had become a little more exciting, a little more fun, and a lot more theirs.